welcome. I'm Tracy Lobertini, and I have Adam Bullock with me.
Hello.
Adam is a local attorney, local, and he does pretty much all kinds of law. What kind of law do you practice?
So I try to focus my practice in all things estates, and then we do family law cases and criminal law cases, but that's kind of where we focus our practice at Bullock Law Firm.
Okay, so Bullock Law Firm is you and
my wife. So I practice with my wife, and so as we grew, my wife was an attorney, mostly in Knox County, and so we just recently joined our practices, and so she will be handling most of the criminal law matters and just anything else that comes in that we want to do. But as we've grown, we had the need to have more than one attorney, and so we're going through that process right now, and it's been great so far.
Well, I love that. And, we do most things, Norris Lake, Campbell County, this area, but I know you all do other counties and other courts.
That's right.
As well. You do Knox, Anderson, Campbell.
Yeah, we focus on the 8th Judicial District, which is comprised of Campbell County, Claiborne County, Scott County, Fentress County, and Union County. Fentress County's really unique because they're actually in a totally different time zone than we
that
are.
Makes it easy.
And so that makes it interesting. But yes, we do get down to Anderson County as well. And then actually, that's why I was a couple minutes late today. We had a call from somebody who needed our services in Knox County.
Okay.
And so we're able to help those folks out as well.
That's great. So I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. So you might have to help me a little bit.
Okay.
So probate, and we typically, a lot of our conversation is about Norris Lake. And in this area, we get a lot of people that retire here.
Yes.
So with that being said, probate, does everybody have to probate their estate when somebody dies?
Not necessarily. There's, of course, ways to avoid that. You can avoid that for the most part with a living trust. And then if you have a spouse and one spouse passes away, unfortunately, and all the assets are owned jointly, then typically there's no need for a probate.
Yeah.
One thing that I always tell people is if you or your spouse have an account only in your name, make sure you either A, add your spouse to that account, or B, make sure your bank account has what's called a POD, pay on death. So if something happens to you, then that money should automatically transfer
to pay out
to whoever you have listed. It could be a spouse, it could be a child, it could be Mickey Mouse. But that would avoid the necessity of opening up a probate just for that one asset.
Wow, that would be tough.
That's right.
So, do you find that most people, when they retire and they buy a second home or they move to a retirement area, is that sort of when they try to get their ducks in a row?
It is, and people do that at different paces. So on Friday, I met with a couple who had been down here to Norris Lake, actually live on the lake for over 20 years. And so, in fact, I reviewed their old estate planning documents from Ohio, I forget which county, and they were done in Ohio in 1987. So it was time to update those. Their children were no longer minors,
Right.
and things like that. But people do it at their own pace. It's better to plan ahead rather than wait until something may go awry, because you need not only I view estate planning documents as at least a basic last will and testament, a power of attorney for health care, a power of attorney for financial and business affairs, and also we have what's called an advanced care plan. That's a fancy way of saying a living will. It allows you to go ahead and make some medical decisions for yourself now, so you don't have to put that burden on a spouse or a child or a friend. And those are really important things that everybody needs. And so, but back to your question, everybody does it at their own pace. It's not anything fun to talk about. And so it's not fun to talk about when you're going to pass and things like that. But what I've always found is the sooner you do it, the better, because it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Oh, that should be our motto. I think I need that on a T-shirt. That comes from everything from ice for the cooler
That's right, yeah.
to an extra case of drinks, whatever those may be. It's always water, an extra case of water. Okay, so we kind of know what you do. Let's get a little bit of history about you. I know you grew up near Norris Lake.
Yes.
Near the Mountain Lake Marina. Have you been to the marina now that they've updated the marina?
I have. My parents live just a mile or so from Mountain Lake Marina, and so, that's kind of my area of the lake that I like to say. Twin Cove all the way up to the dam is kind of the area that I like to stay in. I keep my boat at Norris Marina. Shout out Corey Roberts. And
they've done a great job down there.
It's fantastic, yeah. And then my dad, he has a fishing pontoon, so we're kind of slip mates down there, and it's convenient because my wife and I we live in Powell, but I'm from Campbell County and she's from Carnes, and so it's a real easy drive for us from Knoxville just to get to the boat, hop on, and go from there. But
I know a lot of people from Knoxville come to Sequoia and Stardust, and I love those. I love those marinas. I absolutely love them. But a lot of times that's just an extra few minutes that the dam just doesn't cost you. You're just right there at the dam.
It's right there off the interstate, and the road to the dam from the interstate is a fantastic road.
It's
wide. You can pull your boat and all that stuff. So we really like that area. But speaking of Stardust, I love Stardust too. So my brother-in-laws, they have several boats at the Stardust and jet skis at the Stardust Marina. And so, either they're coming down to the dam to get up with me, or I'm driving up there to Stardust to meet with them. And so, but it's not too bad of a travel. How
far is it on your boat from the dam to Stardust?
On an afternoon after work, it's not as far because you can, the lake's not as crowded, and so you can just kind of go wide open. But it's probably about 20 minutes in my boat. Of course, that depends on how fast your boat goes and all that.
I'd have to spend the night at Sequoia in my little boat because I think I've got a 70.
That's about a halfway point. But I say somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes, depending on speed and how crowded the lake is.
So I always like to ask everybody, what do you like to do on the lake? Are you one of the surfers, wakeboard people? Are you just drive and listen to music?
We like to float, and so we'll try to get out and pick our cove or whatever, and we have some of our favorites, and sometimes they're available, sometimes they're not.
What do you say when you pull up and it's like, somebody's in my spot, even though it's not your spot?
Yeah.
I'm really funny about my little spots. I'm like, dang, somebody's in my spot.
Yeah, and there's so many, though. I mean,
Well, in that area, there's a lot. Like, if you look at these maps, and now that we've been doing this, we try to keep more of these maps. They're available. But we were in here the other day trying to figure out where the PAL was. So we've got these on here now. Philip Boshears and I were both like, which one's the PAL, which one's Clinch?
Right.
But when you have all this green area, that means there's not going to be any private docks. So all of these little coves, you can pretty much, you've got a lot of little coves in here, a lot of little coves in here. You've got a lot of spots that you can pull in and have kind of a private float area.
Oh, yeah. And they're, most of them are certainly on here, but even the ones that are real small like that, on this map, I don't know what the scale is, but that still would be, big enough area to
just tuck in
anchor in and go. And so, we certainly love going to the lake and,
so where's your favorite place to chill, have a beverage, just hang out? Which marinas do you like the best for that?
Yeah, so for that, I think, now I hear a lot of good stuff about Jimmy's Place, but Jimmy's Place is so far for me to go.
Yeah.
So my favorite restaurant, if I'm being honest about it, is Stardust. And so I love that. The food's good, and
their atmosphere is awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I wish there was a little more parking as far as trying to get in there to trying to get in there to eat, but I really like Stardust.
I love that you said that, because every time we talk about a marina, I'll say it's really easy to park or it's hard to park, because I'm not a really great boater. So I'm always like, oh, it's hard to park there. It's easy to park. They have lots of parking. Now, what about, so Matt Groban was funny. He said he likes to go to Whitman for a drink or, for something, but then he likes to come around and go to Shanghai for the meal. He said, I've got different things I like to do at different marinas.
Yeah, both good spots. I mean, it just depends on how
far you're going up.
How far you want to go up. And we stay really busy, so we really enjoy our lake time. So we have to decide, do we want to spend a lot of time driving around, or do we just want to float? And, most of the restaurants are pretty good.
Have you, like Mountain Lake, I didn't get there last year, and I know they had a big overhaul. I heard that they were going to have a little bit of a pared down menu of Twin Cove, very similar food.
I think that makes sense. I mean, I think the same families own that.
Yeah, it's a common ownership.
Yeah, and so they do a good job, and actually through some conglomerate, I think, as you start here, 1, 2, 3, it's kind of the same.
And Powell Valley,
which is way up there. Yeah. I've not had a chance to get up there either.
Oh my gosh, the food. And I loved it when Mary was there, because it was just the same as Rogers Dock was when I was a kid. And Jesus was a toddler and I was young. And but it's so different now. And I talked to some people this weekend who have a camper up there, because they've got a really nice campground there.
Okay.
And there's not a lot of camping. I get questions all the time about campgrounds for this lake, and I know that there's one at Sugar. I think Eric has, or Jesse. They've got a place up at the top of Sugar on the top.
I think there might be 2 at Sugar.
Oh, you think? Okay.
There's 2 separate ones there.
And then I know that there's a small one at Whitman, and then I'm just trying to figure out where else, because I get asked that a lot. But they've got a boat, and they said they do miss the quaint quietness, but they certainly love the amenities, all the new slips, the new restaurant. And I think, isn't that just progress in anything? You miss the hometown folksy feel, but you certainly like the update amenities. I mean, that's how I was when we got the new Walmart 10 years ago, Okay, so on this lake, I've got another lake question I'd like to ask everybody.
Okay.
Have you ever jumped off the jumping bridge?
I have, a long time ago. So it's been probably 20 years ago, but I have jumped off that. And then
you probably lost a few brain cells when you did that.
at least, I don't have many left.
Do you all ever go up there to that mess that ties up all that big crowd of people?
No, we're getting too old for that. So, we like the quieter end of the
You guys are over here where there's nothing.
We enjoy that. But actually, I saw this at Lost Creek up here, and so my aunt actually lives up here in Waterside Cove.
Okay, yeah.
So there's kind of 2 Waterside Coves.
Yeah.
She lives in the Union County one, and that's a nice little area though. But if you're going up that way through what we call the Loyston Sea, Loyston Point, it's important to be careful, because there are some kind of shallow ends there, and they try to mark those the best they can. But that is not as a deep of an area of the lake as we have here in Campbell County and Anderson County.
I'm shocked if I'm in a boat with a depth finder.
Yeah.
Some of the because of course I don't have a depth finder. I have a radio. And I'm not a fisherman, but you'll just be somewhere and it'll be like 30 feet. Like the depth finder will say 30 feet or 25 feet, and you're thinking, okay, and then you go just this far and it's 15.
Yeah.
And a lot of the fishermen know this lake, and they know the topography under the water much better than I do.
Yeah, most areas, when the lake was formed, a lot of the property was like that. So most places, you can be pretty close to the shore, and it's 50, 70. Yeah. 70 feet. I think even close to the dam, and there may be some deeper spots, but close to the dam, which is where our boats are. You're talking probably close to 200 feet at one pool. And so that's a long way down there.
The sunglasses are gone, they're gone.
When they're gone, they're gone.
You just
deal with it.
Some carp will be wearing those Ray-Bans, not you, definitely not you. Okay, so what else? Every lake has it, but we see a lot of people drinking and boating.
Yes.
And you want to talk about ruining a vacation really quick.
Yeah.
I know you end up seeing these folks because
That's right.
you do a lot of DUIs, and that's a new term to me.
Yeah.
Because DUIs.
Yeah. So the BUI is voting under the influence. And it is important to note that in Tennessee, driving under the influence is not an offense that can be expunged off of your record. So if you plead guilty to that, or if you're found guilty by way of a jury or a bench trial of that, it's kind of on your record. It's a Class A misdemeanor. It's not a felony. However, a few years ago, I don't remember if it's somewhere between 2 and 3 years ago, I believe, the Tennessee legislature actually passed a bill where boating under the influence would have the same penalties as driving under the influence.
And it didn't before?
It did not before, and so there was no minimum jail time before. Now, if you're convicted of boating under the influence, it comes with a minimum of 48 hours in jail. And so,
is that like when you get caught, or do you have to come back? I mean, I don't know anything about this.
Sure.
Luckily, so if you arrest somebody, if the police arrest somebody on a Monday, do they have to stay in jail now until they can come out Wednesday?
No. Okay. So they would, depending on the level of their alleged intoxication, once I think they feel safe, they can get bonded out pretty quickly. So, okay. For example, if you went in Monday and you spent 6 hours in there, and
I was at that time sober.
Yeah, and then you get to bond out, and then you would get credit for any time served. So it'd be 48 minus 6. You'd have 42 hours left, and so. But that would be if you're convicted, and so TWRA has really picked up the pace.
And that's Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency. Okay.
Yeah, and so they patrol, and they know where the hot spots are, and
they keep us safe. I mean, they're not just little snipers out there. I mean, they keep us safe.
Yeah, and it's important too, especially if it's at night, to be safe. But don't give them a reason to pull you over. They don't really need one, which I would argue against that in court.
You'd love to, because you're a lawyer.
Right.
You love to argue.
But technically, they can use anything as a safety, to do a safety check. However, you greatly increase your odds of that if you have a light out. If you're acting a fool, as we say.
Right.
And so, don't give anybody, don't make yourself more known than you need to be.
Or more
just chill.
Not a target, but more of a spot, a spectacle.
That's right. And it's important too. I mean, it's illegal. Be safe out there. If you could.
So what's the legal limit?
0.08.
Same as driving.
Same as driving, the legal limit. But you have different factors that, they will argue that, being on the water increases your likelihood of, because you're in a boat and you're swaying around and doing this and doing that. Okay. So you're probably not going to perform as well on field sobriety tests if given them. I've even known an instance to where they give you a field sobriety test on your boat, or probably their boat, once they determine you've probably been drinking or doing other substances. And so that's obviously going to be difficult to do standing in a boat.
Right.
And so
probably for me, sober.
Right, for anybody. Yeah, for anybody. I mean, unless you're a ballerina or a wide receiver, you can't balance too well. And so, but it's important, to be safe out there. And if you find yourself in a situation, reach out to us, and we'll do what we can to help you.
Okay, you made a comment that I don't really think about ever. So you said drinking or under the influence.
Okay.
So I just think about drinking.
Sure.
All the time. No, I'm kidding. But so that could be drugs. That could be the new fancy gummies. That could be.
That's right.
Anything that's going to alter your.
Yeah, it's important too. I mean, marijuana is still illegal in the state of Tennessee, so TWRA or the police department, the sheriff's office, they don't care if you have a prescription from your home state. It's still illegal in the state of Tennessee. And so most, not all, but it's probably at least 50-50 now of all cases that we see of driving under the influence are not alcohol related.
Really?
And so it's important that even if you are prescribed something from your doctor, say a pain medication or a mind altering drug, whether it's a narcotic or whatever.
I love how you use it. Like I just say dope, drugs. You got all these legal. You got to use the right terms.
That's right.
Fancy lawyer. I got it.
Well, and so a lot of people say, "Well, my doctor gave me this," and I said that may be true, but sometimes on the bottle it says do not drive or operate heavy machinery while under this, and so then it comes down to are they going to do a blood draw. And that's a whole story for another day. I mean, they can, some instances they can get one immediately, then some instances they probably need a search warrant. And so that's a conversation for another day, but it's important to be safe out there.
Yeah, it really is. And like I said, TWRA does a great job. And what's interesting is we have 3 sort of authorities on this lake. We have TWRA on the surface of the water, TVA on the shoreline as to where can you have a dock and what's going on the shorelines, the permits for the marinas and everything, and then the Corps of Engineers on the bottom of the lake, like the bottom. So TWRA is who we see more. And last year, and it was one of the busy weekends, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Coast Guard was here.
Yeah, Coast Guard shows up, I don't know how many times, but they kind of pick a different marina each time, and so they'll have their lights on and their Coast Guard boats and just be really patrolling the lake. And so and that's the time if they're going to be at your marina, you can have them check out your boat before you get pulled over. Make sure you have everything that you need.
There's like a list of all the things you have to have, like a whistle and a paddle and a throw cushion and
there's all sorts, and a life vest for everybody on board that has to, fit, especially if it comes to a child.
It has to fit?
Well, when it comes to a child.
Oh, okay.
So we would just get those ones that you tie around your neck. That's pretty all-inclusive there. But, if you have a child on board, you make sure they have a life jacket that fits. I mean, if you can afford to go to the lake, you can afford to make sure your kid has a life jacket. I mean, you can get them at Walmart, anywhere, any of the marinas probably. Don't rely on those ones you just flop over your neck, kind of Gilligan's Island.
That's what they like. Yeah.
So,
but we, when I had my boat redone, all the flooring and the cushions and stuff, we got back with, I don't know if we got our life preservers back, but I know we got somebody else's because we had 40 on that boat, and we just taked them and crammed them just not that we're ever going to need them, but I've got the one I like when I get in, and I'm such a chicken. I put it on to go into the water. When I get into the water, I put on a life vest, and I love a ski belt. I know they're not great for truly life preserving, but if I just want to get in and swim around a little bit, I'll wear a ski belt. But I put something on every time I go under, and I'm a strong swimmer. I used to be a lifeguard, but I have a healthy fear of the lake.
Yeah, it's I have a healthy fear, but if I just jump in, I'm going in head first, and then usually we go to the lake, go with my wife or my brother-in-laws or my parents a lot, and so they'll always throw me something to hang on to. But my wife's that way; she will not get in without a life jacket on, and she has her, the one that she wears, and we know that.
Everybody knows it's mine. Everybody knows Jessica has hers. Okay, the next thing, we haven't talked about your kids. So you have Coco.
Yeah, we got 3 dogs. We don't have any kids yet, but we have 3 dogs. We have fur babies, and so we have Coco, Gonzo, and Guillermo. So we're a blended family. I had Coco before Jessica and I got together, and then she had Gonzo and Guillermo. So they're all Gonzo and Guillermo are brothers, and so Guillermo's he's a big boy. They're just terrier mixes. They're all adopted, shelter pets, which is important to us. And I know to you too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they're all getting a little older. I think Gonzo and Guillermo's 12, and then Coco's 9 or will be 9 this year. And so
now, do they go to the lake?
I've only taken Coco to the lake once, and I took her by myself when I first got the boat, and that was not a good idea. She did not like the boat. She likes the car. She did not like the boat. I think it was too loud.
Yeah,
but she likes the water.
Vibration.
Yeah,
oh,
she likes the
really?
water. So I actually talked with Jess last night. We got them all life jackets, and we're going to try it on Dad's pontoon to see.
That would be
because I got to run about, and it's not fast, but it's loud, it's older, but those new pontoons, they're
smooth.
They're smooth and they're quiet, and they probably feel a little bit more secure. They can see more. So we're going to give it a go pretty.
I think they're going to be great.
Recently, or pretty quickly before the lake gets too crowded. But we like to go. I like to go a lot in the evenings after work.
Yeah.
And so we really enjoy that time. It's quieter.
With a little bit of planning, you could actually meet her there.
Yeah, we do. And so we do, and that would be helpful. If she's at home, she works from home some, and so if she's at home working and I'm at the office, she can just bring the dogs and meet me out there. And then if she's coming back to the office, we'll just leave the car at the dam and just come on back and ride together the next day.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I know Coco's a rescue, and I like to rescue the old dogs, but right now I'm taking a break.
Mm-hmm.
Olivia's with me right now, my daughter, and she has Luna, and Luna is a full-time dog. So Bonnie passed away recently. That was my last one. So
no, sorry.
I'm without a dog, but it's okay because I'll start rescuing those old dogs. And you have a lot of turnover with the senior rescues. But I don't know if a turnover is the word, but you do have a lot of opportunity to rescue those little frosted faces because they don't last as long. But
and that's very special of you to do that. It takes a special type of person.
It takes a nut that wants a lot of pain.
Yes.
Because you keep losing them. I think I lost 5 dogs in 6 years.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's really tough. But I gave Clyde was the last one that I rescued, and he only had him 7 months, but he was fabulous. He was great. So
it don't take long to get attached to them, especially they're your buddy and they like to be loved on, and so that's great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, and we will talk to you again soon. Maybe we'll flesh out a little bit more about estate planning, or a little bit more about the BUI and DUI and that kind of thing.